Guys, I done screwed up a brand new steer tire. Tire's got 35,000 miles on it and it's worn slick on the inside. When I bought this truck, it was wearing the tires on the outside, and the previous owner had took it to an alignment shop and lined it up to a 3-axle alignment. He said they moved the drive axles, and it was wearing one tire more than the other, and they adjusted them. It started wearing the other tire more than the other, so he left it alone because he done paid them like $500 or $600 to line it twice. So when I got it, I set the toe in. It was way towed in. I adjusted it out some, and so now it's wearing one tire, the driver's tire, on the inside, which means it's towed out. And I decided to check the drive axles for alignment, and the way I did that is, well, they make a tool to do it with. It's about $10,000, I think, or something ridiculous high. That basically is a bar that lays on the side of your tire, like you got a strap that goes over your top of your tire, and the bar lays against the side of your drive axle. And it's got a laser that shoots the laser towards the front of the truck, and they got a block that you put up against the side of your front tire. It's got numbers on it, and you read where the laser shines at. You do that on each side of your truck, and if it's reading, say, 3 on one side and 5 on the other, you know that axle is running crooked and compared to the front one. Well, I got a laser and I got a level, so I put a level up against my drive axle tire, and I did this on both axles, and I put a framing square up against the center of the hub on the front axle, and let the laser shoot across it. And on the driver's side, I've got 5 inches from where I was reading my measurement, and on the passenger side, I had 8 3/4 or something. So my axles, both drive axles, are running to the right. Now there is a little bit of difference. One of them was like a 1/2 inch difference in the other one, but both drive axles are actually running to the right, which is pushing the truck to the right, and it's towed out a little bit, and I guess so I'm having to hold it to the left just a little bit, which is hard to tell on that because all the roads are crowned anyway, and any vehicle you drive is going to go to the right because the roads are on a 2% crown. But let me show you this tire, and I'll show you what I'm talking about and what I'm going to try to do to fix it. If you look at this tire right here, it's just about slick right there on the inside. Like I say, the tire's got 35,000 miles on it. Look at the other side. And it looks really good. See on the inside, no wear, worn smooth. But these axles are pointed like this right here. Because when I shot up my laser on that front tire right there, it was showing 8 inches and only 5 on the other. So that means this axle is running crooked like this, and you can see where where you add shims to it right here. You pull your bolts out here and put shims behind here to make this axle come forward. And you can see the back axle here has 2 shims in it where they've already adjusted on this. So I guess what I'm going to do is get some more shims and loosen these up, pull this axle forward and put some more shims in it, and remeasure it till I get it to measure the same thing on the front and the back, and then reset the toe in with a tape measure. I'll try to get a little bit of this in the video. I don't know how much I'll be able to get in the video just because I'm going to do this in my dad's house and have him to help me, and it takes 2 people to do this. I got to hold the level up against the tire across here, and then I hold a laser against the level, so it takes both of my hands, and then I have him hold the framing square up there and read the measurement. And all I have to record with is my cell phone at the moment. My camera and tripods, everything's in my house. But I'm at the truck shop right now, and I'm headed to his house, and we're going to take a look at this and see what we can figure out, because I can't keep chewing up tires like that. As I'm here at my local Tractor Supply, This is the closest one to me. It's the next town up from me. My town don't actually have one, but had a lot of fun getting in here and getting turned around. Glad there was no cars in there. It's a very small parking lot. But anyway, I called around and I can't find any shims anywhere. You would think, as many big trucks on the road, there would be an assortment of shims to be able to line these axles with, but nobody has them. So I guess that's not something anybody buys. They just carry their truck to an alignment shop and hope for the best. So I called an industrial place to even see about getting some motors, some shims for like electric motors and stuff, and they were out of them. So I figured I'd stop here at Tractor Supply and go in and see what they have that I might can make work. Some washers I could cut, or maybe some shims, or just see what they had on my way to the house. So I'm gonna go ahead and see what I can come up with. Well, guys, I just come out of Tractor Supply. They had no shims. I did get some washers and a piece of sheet metal. Let me show you what I got here. This is a piece of 22 gauge sheet metal. That'll make some shims, and got some cutoff wheels to cut some of this stuff with. Got a whole bag of washers for my thicker shims, and then I got to come out of here, I got some more snips. I've already got some of these somewhere. I'm not sure where they're at. I know I have a big pair, but they said they'll cut 18 gauge, and I tried to nip the end of that, and it will cut it. So I should be able to cut me some shims out of there with that. $36 for all this stuff. And if it don't work, I can always use a snip somewhere else and use a washer somewhere else. So anyway, I'm going to get on to the house and get this project started, I suppose. Guys, that was a really frustrating project, lining those rear ends up. I didn't get much footage. My phone went dead during the process. The bolts that you got to take loose that goes through the frame bracket and through your spring bushing where the shims go was froze up inside of the thing. So even after taking the bolt loose, I couldn't get the axles to move forward in order to put shims in there. I wound up putting a bottle jack, a 20-ton bottle jack, between the tires with a board, and getting it to jack and beating on it with a hammer, with a big hammer, and finally got it to break loose and move the front axle forward so I could get shims in it to get it corrected where it needed to be. The rear axle I put a come along on, and I had a pretty good bind on it, and I hit it with a hammer and hit it with a hammer, and I never could get it to move. I finally got it to move just a little bit, but wasn't enough to get the shims in. I took the impact wrench and got on the bolt, on the back side of the bolt, thinking that I could spin the bolt in the in the bracket and it'd break the corrosion loose. And I couldn't even spin the bolt after I got the nut broke loose. I could see it move just a little bit, so I was going backwards and forwards thinking it'd finally break loose. I finally rounded the head off the bolt, so that didn't work. And after about 2 hours of jacking with that just one bolt, trying to get it, or those two bolts, actually the outside bolt kind of freed up, but the inside bolt I couldn't. I was laying under the truck on my back between the differentials trying to get it broke loose, and I couldn't. Had a bind on it with a come along. Finally I decided to get my dad's tractor, and I pulled the rear mud flap off either way where I could push against both tires with a box blade. Started pushing against it. I still couldn't get it to move, and finally I done got aggravated, and I didn't really know what else to do. I knew I had to move some kind of way in order to get it lined up, so I just put it in like third gear in low range, just backed up probably 3 miles an hour, maybe 4 miles an hour, and just hit it, and actually shoved the truck forward about 6 inches when I hit it, and it moved a little bit. And I'd done that about 3 times, and it finally moved enough I could get shims in it. It broke it loose enough I could get shims in it, and was able to get it lined up. But it turned into a real nightmare. But I'm going to show you the laser I got. that I did this with and how I done it. And I got it within about 1/4 of an inch or so. And it was about 3 inches out by putting that framing square on the center of the hub on the front and shining that laser down the side of the truck. Like I say, I'm within about 1/4 inch from one side reading to the other, versus it was about 3 inches out. And I had to add, I think I added 2 washers, which are 1/8 inch thick, so that's 1/4. And then I added 2 of those 22 gauge sheet metal shims I made, whatever they were, in order to get it that far. So whatever that comes up to is what I got. But let me show you this laser here and how I did that. This is a Bosch, see if you can see that there, GLL 3-80. I bought this when I was working on my house, and I think I paid like $700 for it. I don't have no idea what they cost now, but it's really neat, and you can turn it on. It's got 2 positions. It's got a locked position, the first switch, and you see it flashes. That tells you it's in the lock position. But what that allowed me to do is I took a piece of 1 inch square tubing and actually zip tied it to the bottom of this, and it was 3.5 foot long, and all I had to do was hold it and put the square tubing up against my tire. Say if this was my tire, like this right here, and then as you can see all the way in the living room, that laser line is shining the laser all the way across and actually lined up. Let me catch this phone. Alright guys, sorry about that. Anyway, what I was saying about this is, let me carry it in here in a darker room so you can tell more about it. You can see how the line goes across the floor, up the wall, and on the ceiling. So I was able to put this up against the tire, and camera turn around here so I can see what I'm doing. But I was able to put that up against the tire and set the toe in across the hub with the bar. You know, I marked the line on the floor with a pencil, and then measured that line from one side to the other, set the toe in, and then I had it mounted on that 1 inch piece of square tube and zip tied to it, and I put it across the back of the drive axles. And you know, by the line going down the side of the truck, I was able to determine how far away from the front tires it was, and got both sides to within 1/4 of an inch. But this laser is really handy. It does all sorts of stuff. You can see it's got the different things here. You can turn that one on, you can turn that one on, and it makes a square. Let me turn this light out so you can see better. It makes a square when you turn it on like that. That's a perfect square, supposedly. It's also a line going up the wall here, and well, I got it in the lock position, but if I switch it to here, you see how it moved? It self-levels. So you see the line there self-leveling? So that line there is level, and it's got a square on the ceiling. So if you're building a wall or something in here and you need a square, or if you're plumbing a wall, it takes the place of a plumb bob. It's just a really neat tool, and I've used it for a whole lot of stuff, including lining up my big truck now. So that line there is the third laser, and it's level. You see the baseboard there, goes across the top of the baseboard. That's a level line, and it'll shoot all the way. I want to say it goes like 50 or 60 foot. It'll shoot. So it's a pretty neat tool. If you need something like this, it's expensive, but it's very neat, and I've used it for a lot of stuff. So I'm going to show you the oh yeah, and it has a mount here with magnets on it for mounting on an I-beam or something inside of a steel structure. And you can also set it up like this and just have it adjustable if you need to set the height on it. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys the shim job. Enough of me rambling, but I'm going to show you the shim job of what it looks like now that I've got it pretty close to being aligned. Show y'all the finished product where I put the shims in there. These are the shims I made out of washers, and these are the shims, these thin ones I made out of the sheet metal. And that's where I hit it with a hammer trying to break corrosion loops and whatnot. That's the front axle. So I'm not sure how much shim I added to that. That's a quarter plus these two, probably 5/16 at least. And the rear one had two of these shims here, these big shims, and I broke one of those shims whenever I was trying to get this freed up, and so I had to add shim to replace it, plus about approximately the same thing I added to the front axle. Flatbed over there making all that racket. Another problem I had was the steering drag link. When I went to set my toe in, I couldn't get the drag links to turn after I loosened the clamps up. You know, they're split, and you got a clamp goes around, you loosen the clamp up, and then you're supposed to be able to turn the whole drag link and adjust your toe in. I couldn't get that to turn. It's all froze up. I wound up putting a pipe wrench on it and putting a 20-ton bottle jack on the end of the pipe wrench and just keep jacking the jack up, and I could finally get it to turn. Of course, you only moved it like, I don't know, very, very little each time you do that. And I don't know how many times I've done it, but it took probably an hour and a half or better of doing that before I got it to turn a half a turn to get the toe in where it needed to be. But so that was a lot of fun. I didn't get that on camera either, but anyway, I hope this will stop my tire wear or at least reduce it greatly, so that I won't wear out another tire in 35,000 miles. So anyway, thanks for watching, you guys.